Wake up. Come on, wake up. 11:30 is not that early in the morning, dude. Wake up. Come on, no excuse. So it's been 4 days since the announcement of Kishiryu Sentai Ryusouger's toy line or whatever it is, and a lot of the reactions that I've been reading have been kind of the same as mine. They're not kind of betrayal. It's not the same as before, but it's not that, but it's also not like I just give a shit. That's just kind of how they're going. Um, in any event, one of the things I said in the previous video is, or actually the previous video, wherever it is that my final decision on where things were, what I thought of it, and if I was going to get any of the toys would depend, or any of the mecha at least, would depend on clarified pictures. And so here it is, December 12th, 2018. The pictures have finally come out. So here we go. This time I'm reading them off of Toku Nation. Kishiryu Sentai Ryusouger, new clear images released. For those of us that are just tuning in and missed the big announcement, Kishiryu Sentai Ryusouger was announced as the 43rd Super Sentai series proceeding the currently airing Kaito Sentai Lupin Ranger versus Kisetsu Sentai Pat Ranger. Why is it everybody says Pato? Is it like Pato labor? That kind of thing. Clearer versions of the initial toy catalog scans have been trickling out since then, and thanks to some new pages that have been uncovered, we have some new details regarding this forthcoming series. It's been rumored for quite some time now that Super Sentai will be going on a bit of a break in February. That rumored break is now confirmed via these new scans. Kishiryu Sentai Ryusouger won't be airing till March. Until then, Toei will be releasing historical Super Sentai videos through February on YouTube. Rumor has it that Captain Marvelous of Gokaiger will be hosting these videos. Spelling error, hosting these videos, though nothing official has been confirmed regarding these videos, so please do take this with a grain of salt. I wonder if Ryusouger is going to have a shorter running time. Because ordinarily they debut in January, but they're cutting it off by 3 months, so I wonder if it's going to have a shorter run time. That'd be interesting. It would also be disconcerting if it's going to be a shorter run time, because they've been doing anywheres from, I think it's like 42 to 52 episodes across the entirety of Super Sentai. So to do less than 50 episodes, I don't know about the work ethic over there, other than that's flipping ridiculous than what we have. Um, maybe they're just not going to make a series that runs as long. I don't know. I mean, 50 episodes of any series here in America is like 2 seasons, 2 complete seasons of like 20 something episodes. So the fact that they're cutting it down, that's it's also disconcerting. I heard a rumor that one of the reasons why they're going with dinosaurs for a second time within 10 years is not because it's, oh, well, we're going to do dinosaurs every 10 years. I don't think that's at all what they had in mind when they did Abaranger, and I don't think it's what they did when they did Kyoryuger. I think it was just, hey, kids like dinosaurs, let's go with dinosaurs. And so the fact that they're doing it again within 6 years, many people are saying that toy sales in the last few years have not been so good, and so hey, we'll bring in dinosaurs and get our money back, kind of scenario. So that's had me a little on the anxious side that the release of dinosaurs indicates they're not they're not making enough money to sustain the series. There's been a significant slowdown. To that, I would say, well, Bandai Toyplex, um, why what collectors, you're doing limb swap almost nonstop since 2003. That's 15 years, right? Yeah, that's 15, almost 15 years of limb swap. There's been some kind of swap. Deca Ranger, even though it wasn't in the show, yes, the toys were capable of limb swapping. Magi Ranger, it wasn't limb swap, but rather chest swap. So that, but the only time you saw that was when Magi Phoenix could combine with both Magi King and Magi. Or no, it wasn't Saint Kaiser. It was Fire Kaiser. That's what it's called. I knew the name was different somehow. It was Fire Kaiser. And then the Wool Kaiser repaint, which was Saint Kaiser, so they could swap the chest in there. So there was that. Let's see who else did. I think the only other one I can think of off the top of my head would be Ryusouger with their cubes. Well, I suppose yeah, I suppose yes that they are limb swap, although not in the traditional sense. Not like an entire arm pops off, but like just their pants or just their boots come off. So it's something like that. And then so you've got the head, the torso, and the arms all built into one, and then you've got the shorts, and you've got the waist and shorts as one mecha, and then you've got the lower legs and feet as another mecha. It's really bizarre. It's actually even more broken up than Geki Toja and Geki Fire. So, what the hell? Oh, by the way, Geki Ranger also technically had limb swap, but they just never used it. Yes, they did. What am I talking about? They had Geki Viger Wolf. Geki Toja. I was going for Geki Fire and Toja at the same time. Geki Toja Wolf was technically a limb swap. The only one I could think of where they didn't have any kind of swap and alternative in there, maybe Go Busters, because it was parts forming, so that's different. So you had that, but they also had the little green frog, which was a remold repaint of the yellow rabbit, which I don't know the names of the mecha, so it's a frog and a rabbit. Shut up. Uh, that's Gokaiger. I just realized. Although that's an argument could be made that Gokaiger isn't limb swap because you have Gokaio and you have Gojujin where you could take the arms off of one and stick it on the other, but that's the only example. That would be like saying the car magic vehicles from Car Ranger were also limb swap. Yeah, they kind of were, but they didn't really do it that much. They only did it one time. So even though the toy is capable of it, does it really count as? It's that kind of thing. Also, it wasn't a limb swap, but it was a swap of powers. So I think, I'm not advocating one way or the other, but I think that an argument can be made that Gokaiger had nothing to do with limb swap. Um, well, they replaced the legs at least twice on Gokaio. Again, that's an exception. That may be the only exception. Gokaiger and Go Busters might be the only exception to 13, now 14 years of near constant limb swap, and each and every one of those limbs having something built into it. Maybe, and there are exceptions to those, of course. Magi Ranger, the chest units usually actually didn't have a gimmick. It was just the gimmick of coming out and swapping with a different character. That was the gimmick. Thank God that was the gimmick. So the idea that Bandai Toei Plex are starting to lose steam, it's not just limb swap. It's the fact that they're sacrificing so much for the gimmick in all of these. I don't have any limb swap within reach, unfortunately. Well, yeah, I kind of do. Um, it's the idea of there's a gimmick built into each and every one of them, and technically this moving arm, technically this is a gimmick. Although technically I would disagree. This is supposed to be standard affair, not a gimmick. But it's still limb swap, you know. And even though I don't have them, there's a couple of them, a couple of arms, swappable arms that also become heads. So technically, yes, this is limb swap, but it's also oddly a head and chest armor swap as well. So, um, but it's gimmick. It's gimmick, and they've been doing that since 2003, almost nonstop. technically, Deca Ranger also, well, the Deca Ranger Robo had individual weapons built into it, or into each vehicle, but then the Deca Wing Robo didn't have any gimmick built into them. They each had a pair of guns attached to them, but that was about it, and I'm gonna ignore that. So so what was I talking about? They've been doing limb swap and gimmick filled limbs for over 13 years. Over 15? No, I'm sorry, because 2003 to 2018 is 15 years. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. 15 years. Um, they've been doing limb swap and gimmick filled limbs and whatnot for 15 years. And there have been a few exceptions, like some people like the Lupin v Pat stuff. Pat. Why is it? It's so easy to say Pato. I'm sorry. Some people like it, some people don't. It's kind of, you can kind of collect whatever limbs you like and then just leave the others alone, and it doesn't really matter. And there's no big carrier. There's no big ultimate combined form, whatever it is. I don't know the opinions on that yet. So, um, but they've been doing, Bandai Toyplex have been doing that for so long that maybe the sales have been slowly dropping down. Zyuohger was hugely controversial. I don't know. I mean, apparently it sold in Japan, but over here in the U.S., we were thinking Minecraft. We were thinking boring. We're thinking it's bullshit. We're thinking it's not 40th anniversary material. To be fair, Kaku Ranger didn't acknowledge there was a 20th anniversary. No, is that right? Was it Kaku Ranger? No, Die Ranger was the 20th anniversary. They did absolutely nothing to acknowledge it. It wasn't until Gao Ranger for the 25th anniversary. That's when they started making a big deal out of their anniversaries. Of course, 25 is a big deal, so okay, whatever. But they've been just doing the same thing over and over and over for so long, and enough people, like myself, have been bitching about it for well over 15 years, and their audience is getting older, and they are getting wiser, and yes, they are seeing the same thing over and over and over. Limb swap is not what I subscribed to when I first saw Power Rangers in '93. Gimmick filled limbs was not what I subscribed to when I was when I first saw Power Rangers in '93, and it also wasn't the thing I subscribed to when I migrated over to Super Sentai in 2003 and 2004. But that's not to say that those things can't work. It's just it's oversaturation. They've been doing it for so long. They've done it so many times. They're trying so many permutations of it. It's gotten to the point where the kids who grew up in 2003, when they were 4 and 6 years old in Japan, they're all grown up. They're adults now. They're starting to have kids of their own, and they've been seeing nothing but limb swap the entire time. Those who actually stay with Super Sentai after they stop being kids. Um, and they're even they presumably would start complaining about it. I haven't met anybody yet who was a preteen and saw Power Rangers or Super Sentai. No, I take it back. Was born what he was too young to see Power Rangers when it first came out. So whatever. And so was you don't know who those two are, but anyways, um, I haven't met anybody who was a kid seeing in the first years of Power Rangers or in 2003 when when Abba Ranger was on the air. I haven't met anybody that young yet. Which wow, that dates me, and wow, I suddenly start feeling old. At 35, I'm feeling old. Um, so like maybe that is it, maybe that's not it. But these adults who were kids in the early 2000s, millennials in Japan and millennials in the USA are completely different thing. Um, they are probably starting to say the same things. They've gotten to that age, gotten to that point where their views matter. Again, this is all conjecture. I haven't read on it. So the idea they're bringing back dinosaurs just to make a quick profit, make a quick cash grab, that's possible. I'm not saying that is the answer. I'm just saying it's a possibility, and it does seem to kind of give a clue, at least one clue, as to why they're bringing back dinosaurs so soon. And I'll say it again: no, there was no set schedule. No, they do not. They are not required to do dinosaurs every 10 years, every 11 years, or whatever it is. They're not required to do that. It's just the way it played out. I don't know what they were thinking. The difference between Jew and I'm sorry, Jew Ranger, and Abba Ranger. Was it 10 years? Yeah, it was 10 or 12 years. Something. It was yeah, it was 10 years. Yeah. Why did they wait 10 years? They couldn't come up with anything better at the time. So I was like, let's just revisit dinosaurs. Let's do actual dinosaurs. No mammoth, no saber-toothed tiger, Smilodon, whatever that word. Somebody used the word Smilodon or however it's pronounced recently. I saw that and I'm like, why is that? Okay. So, anyways, Ryusouger. Um, is dinosaurs, and now we've got our updated pictures. So here we go. All right, I was reading the article. In addition to that, clearer scans of both roleplay toys and the mecha were also released. The scans show us a glimpse of how Ryusouger will transform, and it seems that the team will perform some sort of dance before initiating the change, an element very reminiscent of Juden Sentai Ryusouger. Still a lot we don't know about the new Sentai on the block, so stay tuned and we'll keep you up to date as new information becomes available. In the meantime, be sure to hit the jump. That's got to be a catchphrase of some kind. And join us in the discussion thread.
A few moments later. 2 hours later.
Well, the good news is there haven't been any updated pictures, and I've also gotten brunch. So, yay! I'm all refueled and I'm ready to go. And I forgot to unmute the microphone. For 40 minutes, I was talking to myself. So it's not going to be initial reactions. It's going to be kind of rehashing or reheating the coffee. I don't drink coffee, so I guess I can't use that analogy. Yeah, it's going to be rehashing. I happen to enjoy hash brown potatoes. So let's start out with the changer. They posted them in a different order, but I'm going to do them in Ranger scale, role play up to shut your face. So and I'm not going to attempt to recreate. So what we're looking at here is that in the top right corner there, or is it top right? Top right, yeah, top right corner. In the top right corner, you're going to see um, how the thing moves around. So basically, what's going to happen? It's like this, and the jaw is going to be able to flip around roughly 180 degrees. That's what it looks like. But then you're also going to have the Ryu Soul will be able to plug into the back of the changer. So I think it's pretty well confirmed that we're going to be getting these things again. I was actually speculating about it, but yeah, we're going to be getting these things again. So, which I'm not entirely disappointed with that. I mean, it is kind of an efficient way of doing it, I suppose. But clearly they're dealing just with Ryu souls now. They're not dealing with entire vehicles, and the good striker and the jackpot striker, which is actually crap. It looks neat, just it has no electronics, and they actually removed the panels that flip down on the lower legs. So, but in any event, yeah, we're going to be getting these again, just in Ryu Soul. So it's basically Ranger keys mixed with these. That's pretty much what this is going to be. So we're going to be taking our thing, and we're going to plug it in, and then the jaw the jaw will flip around 180 degrees and cover it up. That's probably what's going to trigger. Because I mean, with the Dino brace that they had in Abba Ranger, um, you had to what was it? You had to open up the jaw. It would lock into place, and then when you press the button, like that, when you press the button, then the jaw would snap shut, and then it would make the coordinate the associated sound. Looks like on this version, the jaw is going to flip around, and that's going to be the trigger for it. So it's just a different way of doing exactly the same thing. I don't mind the Dino Brace, whatever those things were called in Abanager. I actually still want one of those. My my fan fiction that I have not written yet for Ryuger, that is going to be um, their hinging devices are wrist mounted, and it's going to be something similar to that, where you have to press a button and something moves on it. So at least that's what I think it's going to be. I could change it at some point. In any event, we're talking about the official Super Sentai, not the unofficial fanfics. So yeah, it's. I mean, we already knew it was going to be a wrist mounted changer, so that's good. Um, that's fine. Although having it held like this with the dino face is oriented in this direction rather than this direction like it was with the dino brace. So it's going to be this way as opposed to this way. So I'm not, because what it means is when you're a kid, you won't be able to look at the dino face pointing the right direction, because the dino face is going to be turned 90 degrees. So what you're going to end up doing is you're going to have to hold it like this. You're going to have to hold your wrist out like this in order to see what's going on. It's kind of awkward unless the head can turn. Which, if it can turn, that's going to be a strange choice. But there are very much indications there's going to be musical sounds coming. What does that matter? Even the verses change music coming out of it. Shut up. So yeah, whatever. Am I going to get it? I don't know. It depends on the sounds it makes. Depends on what kind of music. I'm kind of hoping it's like soft jazz or um, what's it called, soft rock or something like that. It doesn't have to be the electronic jingle jangles that we've been hearing. Ever since Go Sager. Is that when they started? Shinkager floated with the idea of having melodies. Uh, Go Onger had unique sound effects, but did they have music? They might have. I don't remember. But at the very least, Go Sager was the one where they actually started using like actual musical tones to convey, transformations and summonings and things like that. So, it's a thing. What are you doing? Come on. So, am I going to get this? Remains to be seen. Let's see. Where's the sword? The sword is. Let's see. So here's the second picture. It says point 1, point 2, point 3, so I guess it's meaning to say the Ryu souls can plug into three different things. So it can plug into the henshin device, it can plug into the sword, and it can plug into the what's it called? The Kishiryu. I'm not quite certain how that's pronounced. So it's just pointing out. Also, I had guessed that the Ryu souls were going to be involved somehow in becoming the head of Kishiryu 3 Knights, or just Kishiryu. Kishiryu. But as it turns out, the head is kind of the head for Kishiryu. Kishiryu O. I got to get in that habit. Is going to be a Ryu soul. It's going to slip in there. It's going to become the head itself. So it's pretty much just like the headers were in Go Sager, where uh, in order to form an alternate mode or an accessory or combined form, you'd flip Gosei Great's head around and then you'd plug a header into it. So it's pretty much the same thing they're doing here. The only difference is now they've got these little, like, I'm actually wondering, and I don't know if it says it here or not, but I'm wondering if Kishiryu is going to have and I actually didn't say it in the previous one, but I'm wondering if it's going to have one of these little tag readers, or what are we going to call these things, by the way? Because this is now a thing. This is now 2 seasons in a row where they're doing this. So what do we call these things? Not the vehicles, whatever, but like these bump readers. What are we calling these? In any event, I'm wondering if Kishiryu is going to have electronics built into it, so it'll be able to. It might not uniquely identify each one. That's what the henshin device is clearly meant for. But I'm wondering if it's going to at least ah at least acknowledge. That was hard to say. If the things will actually plug in, and it'll make a noise acknowledging that something's plugged in. That's what I'm wondering right now. Better. Let's see, and then we move on to the sword, which I already knew had 3 lights in the blade. Kind of the thing that bothers me about this is, oh, by the way, the sword, whatever the sword is called, I'm not certain. It does. It's probably Maru. It's like or Ryu Maru or something like that. I'm guessing. I don't know. Or no, it'd be Ryu. What's their word for sword? Uh, it's not ki. I suddenly don't remember. Oh, I think it's Ken. No, that's like the technique of. Um, in any event, the sword is they're all going to be using these things, but in order, it's kind of the same thing they had with the versus changer, where you held onto the gun, but you had that grip on the back that would turn the thing, or you grab this and then you turn the barrel of the versus changer. It's pretty much the same thing, except that instead of holding onto a gun and turning the barrel, you grip you grab onto the grip, you squeeze that red colored trigger, and then you pull down, and then the mouth opens up. That's pretty much all that it is. And then you could put a Ryu soul on the inside. So I don't know if it'll actually be able to hang on to those Ryu souls or not, but the point is that's probably, in fact, that I know that's the way that each ranger, or I'm sorry, each knight. Gotta get into that habit. I've only been saying ranger for 27 years, 26, 27 years at this point. In any event, that's probably how they're going to convey the power. Like the henshin device is going to uniquely identify things, but in order to like add their armor or whatever, they're going to take a Ryu soul and they're going to plug it into the sword, and then the sword will just kind of hang on to it, and then it'll. I doubt it'll uniquely identify each of the Ryu souls. It's difficult to say at this point. Why does my nose get so itchy when I wear my headphones? Ah, God. I don't get it. It's because electricity is buzzing from one worn out headset or one headphone to the other side. Am I going to get this? Again, it kind of depends what kind of music they're running. I'm leaning towards no. I'm not going to get it. It's not bad. I like that it has lights in the blade. That's kind of nice. I kind of wish the entire blade was transparent and had light shining through it, but I can kind of live with this. It's pretty much the same thing as what they did with the Ninja. The whatever the sword was in the main weapon. Was it whatever the sword was called in a Ninja? I don't want to say the Japanese wrong, but anyways, whatever that thing was, whatever that thing was, it had 3 lights in it, but it was only smart enough to know what command you wanted it to do when you pressed one of the buttons. In this case, it's probably one of those things where, like, okay, here's our supercharge attack, Ryu Soul. Here's our power up. Here's our henshin. Here's our or maybe not henshin, but here's our summoning. It's gonna be one of those things. And here we have another unique Ryu Soul. So it's probably a contest of some kind. That's probably what this is. Let's see. And then we'll take a look at the Ryu Souls themselves. It pretty much is Ranger Keys. It's like an updated version of Ranger Keys, except they're even less puzzleable because the arms don't move on them anymore. So it's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. So I can kind of live with it. I'm not going to be as crazy about these like I was for Ranger Keys. I mean, everybody could get attached to Ranger Keys just because you could get all 199 of them or however many there were. you can get all those Ranger keys. There's not going to be as many. There's a number down here. It says very much in English numbers here. It says 40. So I'm guessing there's going to be 40 Ryu souls, which is okay, whatever. But considering these don't have any electronics built into them, they're also going to be cheaper to manufacture. 40 may mean something entirely different. I'm not entirely certain. What was suspected by a couple of people until this picture came out, what was suspected is that these Ryu souls were going to form the unique weapons, and here it is. We see what looks like unique weapons. So um, I don't know what the individual knights are called, but the Blue Ranger, Blue Knight. I'm sorry, the Blue Knight is going to have some sort of a water splash. Maybe it's an air gun of some kind. I'm not entirely certain what that is. It might be a whip. It'd be interesting if it was a whip. It wouldn't be because toys and kids whips. The whip they made for Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull was just it was crap. It was crap. Well, so was the movie. I shouldn't have brought that up. I'm sorry. And and then the Pink Knight, she has Mason Chain, which is okay. I can live with that. That's kind of beastly, brutal, beastly. And then Red Knight just has a sword. So, but the weird thing is, like, it only shows his sword, but at the same time, all the others also are showing the same sword. A lot of S's in there. So, what's his unique weapon going to be? I'm not entirely certain. I also don't know what the Green Knight's. I don't know what that is. It's supposed to be a claw. I'm not certain. And then blues. It looks like a Pachycephalosaurus, which we've seen before, although it's usually used for a punching or a boxing function, or it's used as a mason chain. So usually it's focused on the head, which is, it's kind of an iconic thing. Iconic, recognizable. That's what I meant to say. But what they're doing here instead, it looks like for the Black Knights. Oh, that sounds fun. For the Black Knights Ryu Soul, it looks like it's going to be a shield of some kind. So rather than being used as a punching function, the head is instead going to be really wide instead of round and bulbous. It's instead going to be really wide, so it's going to be wide, so it's going to be a shield of some kind. Which, okay, I can live with that. They're definitely doing Ranger gimmicks here. Ranger keys. They're doing Ranger keys. This like the one thing that a Ranger key couldn't do. Can I get to it easily? No, I can't get to it easily. I'd have to get out of my chair, and I'm a lazy mofo, so forget it. Is there one in reach? Nope. Uh, the one thing we couldn't do with Ranger keys was just kind of let go of the bottom, and then the legs would flip up all by themselves. There was no spring feature. They very much did it in the show, but the toys didn't do it. I think we all bitched loudly enough about that you can clearly see on the red dino's head that there is indeed a spring on the inside there. And they're saying, hey, push on the button here. So what you're going to do is you're going to grab it by the what eventually becomes the legs. There's a little button on the side. You're going to push it, and then the thing's going to just like that. So they figured out how to put springs into it. Yay! Doesn't mean I'm gonna get them. It just means they finally gave us that feature. So now we move on to the actual DX Kishiryu. By the way, it's just this robot by itself, and I'd suspected that those big black chunks along each of the arms was going to be a big black chunk that you're just going to parts form with it. Turns out I was absolutely correct. So that's now a thing. And also the head is going to be a Ryu soul as well, so there's going to be no dedicated head. The thing is covered in Lego studs. And it's not just that they come in sets of four, like on the knees, on the side of these black colored blocks, whatever those are called, but they're also going to come in pairs of two. So for the front of the shoulders have two Lego studs, and then the sides of the knees have two studs each. Oh, and also the front of the inner side of the forearms, those also have two studs each. So it's a very studly looking mech. Do you see what I did there? Thank you. I'll be here all week. So, yeah, this thing is covered in studs, including a set of 4 stud nipples on its crotch because, I don't know, they weren't, I don't even. So, what's kind of interesting is that it's going to have 2 of the blocks have little drill bits on them because why not? And then the 2 on the arms, which also have, and all 4 of these blocks also have 4 studs on them, by the way. So something's to be connecting to them as well. But it's interesting, the ones mounted on the forearms, it looks like you should be able to swap between them so that you can either have drill bits or you can have paired cannons on there. You know, stylistically, it's not bad. The only thing I'm worried about is where does the tail of the dinosaur? Is this a Tyrannosaurus or not? I just remembered. Is this a Tyrannosaurus? Does it actually say in the dialogue there? Reason I ask is because the head seems to be the head of the dinosaur seems to be a lot longer and narrower than it is on a Tyrannosaurus. I mean, I could be wrong because like maybe this is a Spinosaurus. I mean, maybe that's why all the blocks and stuff hang out on the back. I don't know. One thing I do know, and it actually appears in another picture, it's a subtle enough detail, I don't know how well I can zoom it out in that or whatever. But what's interesting is the arms will be capable of going out to about 45, I'm sorry, about 90 degrees horizontally. So that's something. We'll be able to have the arms, fold out to either side, which is nice. Which is, I mean, when I was recording the um, the initial reaction to was it Ryusouger? I wanted to say Kyoryuger so badly. Ryusouger. When I was recording that, I had my original deluxe Zeo Megazord sitting off to the corner there, and it occurred to me that while this was the triumphant return of posable elbows, we haven't had fully posable elbows. Or hello, what's going on here? Oh, I learned a new trick. Okay, I learned a new trick just now. Um, this is all well and good, but this is purely for the gimmick that we have an elbow joint here that goes in 2 different directions. And I think I addressed it when I unboxed these guys. But we haven't had like fully posable arms since the Zeo Megazord, O Ranger Robo. We haven't, not to that degree, not in a combined form like this, not in a first line Robo.
Are you sure about that?
On a second line Robo, none. I mean, we've had a couple of recent examples in the last 5 years of posable legs with actual posable hips and knees, and arguably one example that had a posable ankle joint, but it was so awkward and ratchety that you couldn't really do anything with it. So this is another case where we're getting blue balled again. Last year, well now it's last year. In 2018 we had posable elbows. Now we're going to have shoulders that could fold out to the side. Clearly that's intended for a transformation of some. Damn it! I got interrupted again. Boy, this is just Grand Central fucking Station. That's the 5th time I've been interrupted. Like I would have reshot everything 2 hours ago, except for the fact I kept getting interrupted over and over and over. I would start recording and then I'd get cut off. I'd start recording, then I get cut off. Now I get cut off again. In any event, shoulders are going to be able to fold outwards. Yay. There is one thing though I noticed in this next picture here in the top corner. In the top right corner, you can see that the dinosaur's head is. By the way, there's another set of 4 Lego studs in the center of the chest. So it's not just down in the crotch; it's also on the chest. In any event, you can take the head off and attach it to the right arm. You can have it peg onto the right arm somehow, or maybe the left arm. It depends how it works. I don't know. The other thing that we're seeing here, which is kind of the main negative. Wait, should I address that? Yeah, I'll address it now. The other thing is that for whatever strange ass reason, Kishiryu 3 Knights is a triple changer. The reason why the Triceratops and the the Ankylosaurus, Ankylosaurus, as they called it in Power Rangers Dino Thunder. I don't why they pronounce it that way. I don't know. The Ankylosaurus, guess because it's not an ankle. The reason why they both have tractor treads, well, now we found out they have tractor treads because they actually are tractor treads for this triple changing thing. And the back is absolutely littered with all kinds of part swap. I think Kishiryu is going to be very part swap centric. I mean, it's like Go Say Great all over again. It's that kind of thing. What was the other one? Go Buster O. Or is it Go Buster King? I think it's Go Buster O. Those kind of mean the same thing. Wait a minute. What am I talking about? They are the same thing. In any event, yeah, it's going to make a tank form because why not? Actually, it kind of has a beetle appearance to it. Is that just me? Are they trying to go for like a dinosaur that changes into a beetle? Considering these are all well, I mean, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility because the green colored mecha, which I'll get to in a moment here, that's a Similodon or Similodon, whatever it is. It's a saber-toothed tiger. Yeah, it's a tiger with really long saber teeth. In any event, yeah, it might be a beetle. I don't know. I mean, I'd love to see a beetle themed mecha in Super Sentai. That would be a nice thing. And I'm not talking about the Kabuto header, or was it Kuwaga header? Was it Kabuto or Kuwaga header? I don't care. In any event, yeah, if that turns into a beetle, why didn't they just go with a beetle themed mecha instead of dinosaurs all over again? As I understand it, insects are kind of neat, so. But yeah, this is going to be a very, very parts former centric design. Those are there, those are there. Is that true? It might be, I'm not certain. Is this thing going to have ratcheting hips for part of the transformation? It might, but I'm wondering if they're so goddamn lazy that instead of ratcheting joints for the hips for transformation's sake only, it's going to pull off, rotate, and then peg it back on. Don't say it's not beyond the realm of possibility, because I've seen it happen. Goju Jin off my left shoulder here is a good example of that. So, yeah, I don't know how I feel about it turning into a tank. It's kind of like, why even bother? It's one of those things. And then we have kind of the big reveal, which was not in the previous picture, or previously released photo, where the Triceratops apparently has two heads attached to it. I need to move it. There we go. The Triceratops apparently has two heads attached to it. And the reason I know this is because when you have Kishiryu 3 Knights formation, which is in the bottom left corner here, it's the first one. You've got the Triceratops head with the very obvious sword blade, which doesn't retract for some strange reason. It's got an odd split down the front. That's unusual. I don't know what they're doing there. Is very much forming the right arm, or it's right armor. But the weird thing is that you can swap the components even amongst the pink and the blue knights. You can swap it between them as exampled in the other two. So what ends up happening? Oh, I didn't notice that before. All right. So what ends up happening is you've still got the Triceratops sword attached to the forearm, but when you swap it to kind of blue mode or whatever it is, you don't remove the forearm and then place it onto the chest. That's not what you do. You keep it there, but then the shoulder comes off. The shoulder armor comes off and attaches, which means what's that thing called? Means the Triceratops's butt has another face on it, because I don't think you'd have just the tail of a Triceratops. No one would give a flip about that. So we're actually going to have two heads on the Triceratops, or two faces on the Triceratops. I don't know why, they just are. So that is a thing. And the Ankylosaurus is... It's kind of an interesting thing, though. They're each going to have their own Ryu soul. That's going to become an alternate head, because don't forget the Kishiryu does not have it does not have a head of its own like Gosei Great. It doesn't have a head in the same fashion like Good Striker also doesn't have a head. The head is determined by what accessory you plug in there. So Kishiryu Three Knights is going to be exactly the same thing. It's not going to have a head unless you plug one of the Ryu souls into it. It may not uniquely identify each of the Ryu souls, but it's still going to recognize, oh, something's been plugged in there or something's been removed. So it'll be smart in that regard. Is it going to be smart enough to know the difference between when it's in robot mode, when it's in dino mode? I can't say for certain. So, the other thing I noticed about this picture is that it looks like Kishiryu can be sold individually. So, and again, somebody said that this is very similar to what they did for Lupin v Pat, where you can buy the Kaiser set, whether it's Pat Kaiser or Lupin Kaiser. You can buy it as a complete set, in which case you'd have two of them side by side, or you can buy just one good striker and then all of the accessories along the outside, accessories including the head, by the way. You can buy all of the accessories around the outside as well. So they're doing pretty much the same sales market here. So you can get the Kishiryu as a single piece, just the red dino, and then you can buy the blue and the pink one separately, or you can buy it as a complete set and have the three knights assembly available at one time. I mean, it's not like they haven't done that before. It's just it's a little soon to be doing that, I guess. I mean, they did it all over. I mean, one of the things that people didn't like about Gal Ranger is how many purchasing options there were. You didn't have to purchase you didn't have to purchase a complete robo all at one time, or Yakuju Gatai. You didn't have to purchase a complete box set of a Gatai. You could purchase just this arm by itself or just this leg by itself. You were not constrained. So they're doing pretty much the same thing here. Are there going to be any repaints? It's too early for conjecture. So. If I get Kishiryu Three Knights, if I get that, then I will get the saber tooth tiger thingy to go along with it. I will get that because that looks neat in the one picture down there. Actually, I can zoom in a bit further than yeah. It looks neat. I like it. I might not be able to see individual details just because the detailing, excuse me, is not available here. But yeah, I like. I just like the green, and I also like the chest design. That's nice. I wonder if is that the tail or just the torso? Yeah, it's just the tail. Okay. So I don't know what the weapons are, but it looks neat as opposed to the Stegosaurus, which doesn't really look like a Stegosaurus. I mean, I knew it didn't really look like one previously, but. Eh. But anyways, am I going to get the Stegosaurus? Probably not, just because it just I don't care. I like the visual aesthetic of the mecha. It's like, okay, this is kind of working for me. The Lego studs, that bothers me. There's a very large percentage of part swapping on here, which has me really, really concerned. It may be a point where I'm like, fuck it, I don't care. I just want to get it. It just looks neat enough. I don't care. Where I don't care if it can transform or not. But I mean, it may get to that point where I just like, I don't care. I'm just gonna get it. But I'm just not. I'm not hot and bothered about it. I just don't care. Okay, it's dinosaurs, yay, whatever. That's not how I would have done dinosaurs, but okay, whatever. There's a little bit of Geki Ranger mixed in with how they all part swap and become weapons and armor and a helmet or a whole head replacement. So it's Geki Ranger again. I mean, it's kind of the evolution where with O Ranger Robo, it was just the helmet and you had to use your imagination. And then with Geki Ranger, it was a mask or a stupid Geki Shark helmet, and then it was a weapon. And then with Ninja, you had a whole head, you had the chest, and you had a weapon. So this is kind of the next step. It's like you get the head, you get some bits of armor, and you get weapons. So it's kind of the next step in the evolutionary chain there. It's not quite a high it's not quite how I would have done it, but I can live with what they're trying to do. All right. But that being said, there's just a lot of parts swimming, a lot of parts swimming, and that just has me very concerned. Now these black blocks that are appearing in this thing, those are they're meant to be filler. If you don't have the three knights formation, then you can stick those in there. Or if you do have the three knights formation, you can take a piece off and then put one of those black pieces in its place and not be missing some mass or some bulk. So that's what they're ultimately what they're trying to do. Why would it have drill bits on it? I don't know. Why would it have guns on it? I don't care because it just rocks to have guns mounted on your forearms. You know that's how that works. I just want to know what's going to happen to the tail and where the little forearms come from. And is it really a Tyrannosaurus? Is it a T-Rex? I don't know. I'm inclined to think maybe it's a Spinosaurus. Spinosaurus is larger than Tyrannosaurus. What is right? Was larger than Tyrannosaurus Rex, and considering the how the Jurassic Park or Jurassic World movies have popularized the Spinosaurus, maybe I don't know. They're trying to pass off a Spinosaurus as a good idea. I mean, they did it with Kyoryuger. Spinosaurus was the blue colored repaint for the movie or whatever. So it might be. I don't know. I do know that one of the Ryu souls is very much a red dragon that has the really long, frilly golden mustache on one side. So I think they are going to be doing an actual dragon at some point in here. We just haven't seen it yet. Because I mean, if you're going to use the word ancient lizard twice in your opening title, and everything in the show is called ancient lizard, or mystic lizard, however that works. I was slightly educated between the previous video and this one. Um, Slightly. Maybe they actually will slip a dragon in there at some point. That'd be my guess. Any and it's way too early to guess what kind of additional accessory mecha or because it's not because our accessory mecha are not a single piece anymore. They're not a single piece. It's part swapping. So there's no way we can really predict what dino is going to come out next or even what kind of attack feature it's going to have because it's armor, helmet, and weapons. So there's no way to predict it at this point. Uh, am I done? Yeah, I'm starting to just kind of look around for things to do, and I've been playing around with the blade dial fighter. Is this blade or sword? I think it's blade dial fighter. Just kind of subconsciously. Just need something to do with my hands. I suppose that was the appeal of the cube animals. Like you could just kind of absent-mindedly just just kind of have it down in your hands and flick the thing back and forth and not even think about it. Maybe that was the appeal of the cubes. I don't know. It's better than a bloody fidget spinner. Fuck that noise. All right, I'm getting old and crotchety. I need to get out of here and start re-editing all this stuff. So there it is, the updated pictures for Kishiryu Sentai Ryusouger. And with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in.